So,
For the year?
yeah, this is the end.
Great. Good.
So, we are live. All right. So, let's do this little thing in 3, 2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready? Then we'll begin.
Lent is winding down, spring is gearing up, and we're so close to Holy Week, we can all fall over right about now. So, here we go with Monday Morning Catholic episode number 110.
To set us free. Mercy, O God, have mercy.
Oh, yes. In the year of mercy, we ask for so much mercy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Morning Catholic Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier. And believe it or not, the only one here this week with me is Nancy Smith from St. Christopher's Parish in Tiverton, Rhode Island. Good morning, Nancy. How you doing?
Good morning, Joanne. I'm here.
Nancy, I don't think it's ever been just you and me, has it?
No, never.
So this is going to be a very interesting show.
In more ways.
In more ways than one, yeah. Because it's just the two of us. You see,
Yes.
we're at that time of year.
FYI, I'm not as eloquent as Linda.
Oh, no. There is no judgment clause here.
No, I don't mean it that way. I truly admire her knowledge and such, and so I don't have that eloquent knowledge that she's got. So I'm salt of the earth, folks.
I don't have that eloquent knowledge either. I just bumble my way through everything. That works for me. No, we're having one of those types of weeks, folks, where, everybody's got something to do. And it's unfortunate for the podcast. It's great in real life because that means people are busy. This is the 5th week of Lent. Next week is, Holy Week, and everybody is kind of like gearing. Yes, it's a wonderful thing for all of us. But if you are working in the church right now, you're pulling out your hair because there's so many things to do in such a short span of time that it just needs to get done. If you are a type A, you relish this type of thing. If you are a creative, not so much. Because creatives want to keep creating and they don't want to, they don't know what a list is.
And to top everything off, we have our mission this week.
Oh,
yeah. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay. That's it.
Yeah, well, hey, don't feel so bad. I have my last GOF.
Congratulations, you made it.
It's my last one.
You made it.
And it's the week before Holy Week. And it's like, who planned this? And the only problem is that Middleborough does theirs the week before me. We had an extra week in between because we didn't want to go so early in the month, so early. So we kicked it 1 week back. She's fine, not me. Mine ends on Friday, and then we jump into Palm Sunday.
You finish one roller coaster and you start another one.
And start the next one, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I had a roller coaster sound on here. I don't. Yeah, really. The only we I've got is that one. That's all I've got, folks, right now.
We'll take it.
Because that's about how most of us sound. And I've been subbing. So, and what I still want to try to understand is people going away during Lent. I know that that's no judgment zone here. But I must have been the crazy person that never went away during these seasons.
Well, it ended up being one of those, for us, we did go away at the beginning of Lent because we stayed for, we were there for Ash Wednesday, and then it just was the time that least amount of things were going on
Right.
at the beginning of Lent, or
Right.
any other time. It was the least amount of things going on. And I remember the time we went away for Ash Wednesday, and in my mind, it was just, I'm just missing one Ash Wednesday celebration.
Right.
Okay, so everything else is quiet. Okay, we'll go.
Right. And
So-
I guess it's just odd for me because I always stuck around for everything. And again, it's a no judgment zone here.
None, no judgment.
And it's been great work. So I don't bite the hands that feed me here, but it's so hard. And I think it's this year because it's so early.
Yes.
People normally get their winter to kind of detox and come back, and then they can face Holy Week. I'm running straight. I had a 6-week right after Christmas. I had a 6-week gap to the middle of February. Then I had a couple of weeks off. Then I have another 6-week gap that will end on Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
And
It's
yikes.
it's a yikes, and I thought I had all my rehearsals and everything planned out, and I had rehearsal Wednesday, and I went, yikes, I did. I went the same as you did, because technically I've always been of the mentality, don't ask your choir to come in for a rehearsal on Holy Week. And in 30 years plus I've been doing this, I've done it once. After this year, it'll be twice.
Yeah. And it's because it's so early.
It's so early. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
early. And
Excuse me.
here's the funny thing. I mean, I subbed last week. I subbed this past weekend. Okay. I'm subbing on Palm Sunday.
Oh, wow. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be not in a diocese far, far away, but I'm
okay.
in a town far, far away.
Okay.
But it was, again, because of how early it is and people working with spring breaks and stuff that work with colleges, it became an issue.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that when you've got two? It's being the slave of two masters.
Exactly. And you need to do what you need to do.
Yeah,
and if you can find somebody who is accomplished in what they're doing, such as yourself, to cover for you, then you can go. Then you can go with the carefree mind.
Hey, look, I'm just glad anybody asks me to play. So I still play, and I like my hand in it, and I love it. But I find, subbing on Palm Sunday to me is or any, it's just different.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep.
But then again, at home, I'm going to be doing, Holy Thursday and Easter Vigil and probably Easter Sunday with Linda.
Right.
Because her poor pianist, who she was happy to have back, not that she was happy to have Julie back, has had a very difficult pregnancy.
Yeah.
So she's bedridden, and I'm it for them. So,
and she's lucky to have you. So
again,
it's the type of thing.
I'm just happy when anybody asks me to do it.
Exactly.
So, and that's the fun of all this. I'm glad I can be available to people so they can go and not have to worry about it. And their assemblies don't have to worry about who's going to play.
Exactly.
So from that one, from my subbing this past weekend, I actually have a homily on tape.
Oh boy.
For those of you old enough to understand tape, I have an homily on tape. So that'll give us a chance to hear another voice later on. And of course, we're going to look back at the previous weekend's liturgies. Again, it's a 2-cycle, the last of the 2 cycles, cycle A and cycle C, depending on what you were doing. But I think all of us have C.
Yes.
You and me both have C. So
yes,
we'll at least talk about the A readings, but we don't have a homily on the A readings. Sorry about that, folks. We are so sorry that we could not provide that for you this week. And of course, the voice of the people. Wow. Separated by 2 points. And we'll get into both of those as well as a few other things. We hope everybody got to church this weekend on time because it was one of those spring aheads.
The change. Yeah. And I woke up seeing all sorts of different times around the house. Ralph sent some clocks and the cable set that clock, but other clocks didn't get set. And it's like, we spring ahead. Okay. So if it's 3 a.m., it must be 4 a.m. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Most electronic devices change on their own. So your watches, your phones, your iPads, your computers, your set-top boxes for TVs, they'll all set on their own.
Yes, but the clock in the bathroom or over the oven or next to my bed does not.
Does not.
Does not.
Exactly. So you have to do that. So it becomes and your car.
Absolutely.
My
that,
car
that only takes 45 minutes each time you have to do it to remember how you did it, because there's always a little snafu.
Oh, jeez.
Press this button, hold it down 3 seconds, and then go beep.
Oh, gee. Yeah, I'm glad on my Subaru. I just kind of punch the button and it goes ahead. There's one that goes ahead. There's one that goes backwards.
My newer car is easy to set, but the one before this was, you needed the book every single time.
Ouch. That's not fun.
No.
So, of course, we had a lot of memes on Facebook between Yoda and actually I found Yoda, something from, I think it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay.
And also somebody reset the words to "morning has broken."
I saw that one. I thought that was very, very clever. Very clever.
Everybody gets in the act. My favorite one is for
fall back,
turn back the clocks, because then it's a meme of Cher that says, turn back the time this week and then share it with your friends. That's one of my favorites. I like that one.
Yep.
So we're gonna do this segment, but a little bit differently today. So how does it look from your side of the world? Well, here it is, folks. We didn't get feedback in the traditional manner, but we did get feedback on this was, I think, the first time in a while I've seen a lot of feedback on particular posts on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at some of the feedback we did get on certain things that we're not discussing in Voice of the People. I had put up, and I'm usually the one who puts up things. Linda, every once in a while, will throw something up there, but I put up one thing on something that we use in our parish, and you used to use, called Flocknote.
Yep.
And Matt Warner is the creator of Flocknote, and I think he's a wonderful tool for folks who want to get out newsletters, email to your entire assembly or to anybody on these lists in a lot easier than trying to use your mail clients. Because you can put everything in an Outlook contact list, but then people change things and are they on this list, and you have to have a list for everybody else. The one good thing about Flocknote is that you can look up the person and find out how many lists they're subscribed to. So if they're on the Eucharistic Minister list, and that they're on something else, and you don't have to go through every single one of your lists to find that out. It is another expense, but to me, it's been something that's been extremely useful. So I put it up that a group in, I believe it's California, decided to use Flocknote to help their church study scripture online.
Oh,
so what?
Okay.
Yeah. So what they did was and this is through Ascension Press, because Ascension Press now can take things like the Great Adventure, their big Bible study with Jeff Cavins. They can take the kid ones with Mark Hart, and they now stream them.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to buy the DVDs anymore.
Good to know.
They will stream. You can buy the streams instead, and you can turn the streams on and off during the year. So if you only need the streams for 6 months, you can turn off the system for 6 months and then turn it back on in September. I'm looking to that for next year for confirmation. But what they do is they use Flocknote to facilitate that. They send people the link to the stream. They have the discussion on Flocknote.
Okay.
So I thought it was something worthy to put up. And a couple of people, of course, from my neck of the woods decided, Holly decided, would love to start something like this. Of course, I knew. And Eleanor was like, brilliant. But these are the kinds of things that if you're doing this type of work in a parish, these are the technological things that can help you. And Flocknote is easy to use. Okay, Flocknote is real easy, and you've been through that. You've worked, although you're not as convinced as I am.
No. It has nothing to do with being convinced or not. They did a major change in what they looked like,
Mm-hmm.
and I hadn't been on for a while. So when I really needed to get something out like yesterday,
Oh no!
I went on and I saw the new look, and I'm going, no, now I got to figure it out. And it's not hard to figure out. It's just
No,
doing it. It's just a matter of doing it.
Mhm.
But each time it's where I expect my ability to get in to
Mm.
be,
Mhm.
it's not there.
Mhm.
And so they've done a phenomenal product. I love the product. The
Mhm.
problem is mine. It has nothing to do with them.
Okay,
And
it's the end user, not the product.
I will absolutely say that the issue is mine and not the products. The product is, if you have trouble getting things out to people, they get bounced back, this, that, or the other.
Mhm.
This doesn't, or if you can't send out but a certain amount of emails because of restrictions on
Mhm.
where you work or something like that, Flocknote solves all of that from the beginning. And so I endorse Flocknote as well. I've worked with it on a very limited scale, but it's a good product. I absolutely agree with you. And to know that it's just being built upon is a good thing.
Oh, I've been with them since the beginning.
I know you have.
With Matt since the very, very beginning on this product, and I really highly endorse it. And I can see, and I haven't looked too far into it, but I will because I want to be able to tell people about it. I read somewhere on the site that if you have 40 people or less, it's free.
Oh boy.
So
Okay.
he's giving back now. He knows
Exactly.
there are a lot of places or a lot of apostolates that can't afford, but don't also need to have 600 email
Right.
addresses.
Right.
Okay. So I think he picked a number and said, if you have 40, or I think it's 40, if you have 40 or less, it's free.
Good for him. He's
And
turned it back around like we all should. Yeah.
I think if that's the case, yikes. That is a wonderful thing to do. And that will help, small religious groups and things like that. Because he really built it for the church. He didn't expect it to be something that would be his life. He's an engineer by trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see how these things, God works in mysterious ways.
Mysterious ways that, you provide something, if you develop something that is good for the masses, positive communication piece. And look where it took them.
Yep. Another one that we published up on the Facebook page was a video from these nuns in Pittsburgh. They believe in Pittsburgh. They're somewhere in Pennsylvania, and it's ever wonder how the wafers for Holy Communion are made. And this was one that this is a video that really is geared towards those candidates preparing to receive First Communion. But it's great for adults to see because they probably have no idea how wafers are made.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the non-large room large machine productions. They still use machines, but this is a group of nuns who do it. And Rita pointed out that one of her aunts, who was a nun, would give her brothers and sisters the trimmings from the makings of these wafers. We'd practice receiving communion. However, we never knew how they were made. Nice video. Beth Ann says she once visited a parish that had a bread making ministry.
Yep.
They made their own. It sounded cool. I've been in a bread making ministry parish for certain occasions that we didn't use it all the time, but we did it for certain occasions. It is an art form. I'll tell you, because you can only use certain ingredients. Can't use anything else. Has to be done a certain way. And yes, it does. When you make it where it looks like bread, it becomes hot. You have to use it right away, or you can't. It becomes hard as a rock.
Exactly.
So this is a real ministry, and it's fun to watch her. I said to Bernadette, who works with me, I said, "Yeah, I know. I've already downloaded the video. We'll use it for the kids. Don't worry."
That's it. Hi, Bernadette.
Yeah, she's probably the one viewer watching right now because she always watches us when we come live. So
okay.
Hey, Bernadette. Let's see what else. We also put something in about the Catholic Church grew faster than the global population last year. And this was interesting because I'm not a statistics person. I do like to see them, but I'm not a big statistics person. And Jason was the one who came in and said, gee, we're still thriving. Yet when I saw this on another person's Facebook page, it said something about we're shrinking. So statistics.
Go figure.
Right. It's all by perception.
Yep.
What are you perceiving? In this day and age, anytime we're doing pretty good, I'll take that as a positive.
And I think a lot of us end up, our perception is our local, wherever we choose to worship.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just the surrounding areas. So what I don't have a view of the church overall,
right?
Let alone my state or region or country even. So where they come from, I haven't a clue. And I think for most of us, it's a local perception.
I think it is. Last one on the big list of things here was the 10 traits of Catholic fundamentalism. Yeah, I
like that one.
I liked it. Was kind of hoping it would gain some traction so we could talk about it. It did well, but didn't do well enough. But maybe that's God saying to me, Joanne, be quiet. Because one of our priests in the Diocese of Providence wrote back that he said it was a well-written piece. No one can accuse Father Longenecker of being some left-wing nut. This is true. If you know Father Longenecker, he is very, very conservative. We all need to take heed of his words, and above all, look in the mirror. And again, it really is a balanced piece that shows that we don't want to have any kind of Catholic fundamentalism. That's not what we're about.
Right.
Yet we have this us versus them mentality sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's true. It's
so
very true.
Please be careful, folks. That's the only thing I'll say, because we have enough people attacking the church from the outside. Let's not do it to ourselves.
Absolutely.
That is my biggest fear, that we will do it to ourselves because we're too stupid. And
well, you've said it for as long as I've known you. You've said that.
You laugh at me when I say that.
I laugh. No, I laugh at you. Like I just said, that this is something you've said since I've known you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to attack we eat ourselves from the inside out.
Oh yeah.
It's not bad enough that we have people coming from the outside, but we do it to ourselves, and we need to look in the mirror, as that father said. And are we one of those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just look at the political climate right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing it to ourselves.
And your opinion is okay, and I'm entitled to my opinion as well. And if they jive, that's fine. And if they don't jive, that's okay too. But the other side of it is, don't attack each other for an opinion we might hold. That's
exactly right. And I got that this week on Facebook, and let me tell you, wasn't happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because number one, I wasn't attacking anybody. It was a meme that I shared and said, and it was a meme of, I will be honest, Donald Trump and former President Carter. And all I wanted people to get a gist of was, who is more presidential? And the thing is that Jimmy Carter, yes, he was not the greatest president in the book. Okay. There's a few others who aren't the greatest presidents in the book either. Don't let me name names and anyone currently holding the office.
We won't let you.
Okay. That includes people currently holding the office. But
no names.
No names, no judgments. I put it up because I feel that former President Carter gets a bad rap a lot of times because he's a normal Christian trying to do his best bit in the world.
Yes.
And people like to make fun of it, or people like to think he is this. And I don't agree with everything he says, but hey, look, the man tries. And I don't see the same thing coming from current candidates who feel like the best way to get elected is to bully.
Yes.
So
and if nothing else, I look at Jimmy Carter as a person down the line who has, if he has spoken, if he's talked the talk, you can find evidence that he's also walked the walk. Whether he's helping with Habitat of Humanity, whether he's doing study classes in his local church, community, very, very community-minded man. so he might not have been the greatest president, but you know what?
But
He was an example for a lot of us to follow on many levels.
right. But I very rarely put up anything political on my own, even on my own Facebook page. I very rarely do it. And I just happened to do it and got like attacked immediately. Okay. By someone who posts a lot of stuff like that. And I just pretty much ignore it as it goes by my feed.
Simple solution.
Yes, there is a simple solution and I have used it. I just don't want to, if that's the case, then, let's wait till the political season is over before we resume.
Yeah. And the piece in all of this is what I said earlier, and what you're alluding to is you might not have the same opinion as the next person down the line, but every single one of us live in a country that we're entitled to the opinion we have.
Exactly.
We're entitled to express that opinion, and we're entitled to discuss the opinion.
Mhm.
And the piece that we're being slammed, that you were being slammed for having that opinion, is
Right.
unacceptable.
Exactly. So there you go.
Yeah.
And it's my Facebook page.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
One last thing on this. Nancy, I don't know if you saw it, but Beth Ann responded to our, when we posted the show last week. She said, I'm glad Nancy enjoyed my city of St. Augustine, Florida. I didn't know that's where she lives. I didn't even know the history as to why it's called a votive church. So you see, you enlightened people.
I did. Well, yep.
The mission grounds is kind of confusing as it is dedicated to Our Lady of La Leche, but then there are other buildings and after other people on the property. It is one of my favorite places to walk around. But yes, the Cathedral School Festival was going on that weekend, so it was pretty insane. I was working one of the booths that weekend. They said it was a record-breaking year, which is great.
I'm not surprised. They all walked by our hotel.
Okay, so you saw them all.
We saw everybody going via car, via foot, parents pulling kids in their red wagons. I mean, it was on the back of mommy, on the top of daddy's shoulders. They were coming in droves. It was really the family aspect was very enlightening and heartening to me. Yeah, cool. I'm not surprised that they broke records. I'm not surprised.
Well, that's about the feedback that we got, and at least it was all on the Facebook page. So everybody knew to go to facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic and say something. Yep. However, we'd love to have any other kind of feedback you may want to give us. So you can always reach us at mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. You can send MP if you like to record your voice but don't want to do it in other manners. Then you can attach the MP3 file. That's if you know how to do that. Some people do. You can also leave comments on in the comment box at mondaymorningcatholic.net, or you can call us at the voice feedback line if you don't know how to attach MP3s, and that would be 774-955-0659, which people call and then hang up. Look, it's the voice feedback line. If you're looking for me to pick it up, I'm not. It's going straight to voicemail. So leave your voicemail and then let us know whether or not you'd like us to play it or you want us to read it. I don't care. Just leave some voicemail.
Anne-Marie, thank you for the feedback from St. Augustine.
Yes.
Lovely city. Hope to be back again.
Thank you all for doing that for us on Facebook. Moving right along.
Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear for the 5th Sunday in Lent, the last one? We did not all hear the same readings this weekend. So unfortunately, we don't have a homily for Cycle A, but if you were in Cycle A, you were getting Ezekiel 37 as your first reading, which was God opening the graves and restoring the people of Israel, which is almost hearkened again in the vigil if you use that 7th reading by Ezekiel, which we are this year. Which I'm kind of
doing all 7?
No, okay. They don't do all. Don't get me started on
I just asked.
I'm in a no 7 zone right now. Again.
Okay.
After all my years of convincing people that 7 was the number, I'm in a no 7 zone.
Okay.
So
And
I'm-
that's okay.
I'm just happy when they start the vigil at 8. We won't go there either because that's like, I had
We're
to
starting at 8 and we're doing 7, so that's good.
good for you. That makes my heart sing. All right, moving right along. This proper psalm for the cycle A readings was Psalm 130. With the Lord there is mercy and fullness of redemption, which is one of my favorites. And Joncas is the one that comes to mind right away. But O'Brien has a nice one too that I like. It's very different, but I do. Romans 8. The Spirit of God dwells in you was the second reading. Then, of course, John 11 is your raising of Lazarus. And, of course, my favorite line, but Lord, there will be a stench. No kidding. Yeah, think. In the desert when you bury someone in a rock tomb. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a given.
4 days later, I'm surprised there isn't more than a stench. Let me tell you. But I'm sure that needed to be said for some it was recorded for some obvious reason.
Sure.
To which
Who knows?
To which I do not know. But in the cycle C readings, we had just as much intrigue going on. Joshua 43 was our first reading about the Lord doing something new. Of course, as we're getting to this part of Lent, we've looked so much inside. It's about time that we take what was inside and do something with it.
Yes.
So it's the perfect time to do that. Our proper psalm was 126. The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. And where I was, we actually use the proper psalms.
Okay.
So we use, unfortunately, the R and A.
But it's the proper psalm.
But it's the proper psalm. Like last week, I used the Gimon, which I love better.
Yep.
Proper psalms. You're still using common psalm, right?
We have a common psalm, yes. Hogan's Be With Me 91.
Right. That's one of the 3 commons. Common is 50, 51, 91, and 130.
Yep.
The commons. Thank God I can still remember that. Going on, Philippians 3 was our second reading. I continue my pursuit towards the goal. And some people would be using some of Dan Schuette's Only This I Want because it's in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And John 8 brings us in the gospel, the woman caught in adultery. My question for that has always been, and where was the man caught in adultery? Because you can't do it by yourself.
On the sideline with a rock.
Yeah, probably. Or hiding in his house. One of the two. So that always, but again, you have to remember, ladies, that we're looking at 1st century AD type of mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, try not to apply it to 21st century mentality on the role of women. If you do, you lose every time.
Absolutely. You're right. Yep.
You have to understand that we were considered chattel and kids were worse than us and slaves were worse than them. So there was a hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy.
Definitely not the one we have now, but there was a hierarchy.
Yes.
So what do you have? Because mine is a recording, so I will let you go first.
Well, I have a homily that was the beginning of our mission.
One of those two, huh?
Well, yes and no. He did a nice job of talking about mostly the gospel reading, but swinging in the mentality of the mission and the gospel reading, talking about judgment and judging people and making judgment calls, as perhaps your person on Facebook was doing to your feelings, your opinion.
You're going back to that, don't you, Nancy?
I do, because it's just not acceptable. But anyway,
I know.
And so the homilist was talking about one of the things is he goes to the BCI, the local jail.
Okay.
And visits with the men, and he says, when I go in there, he says they're afraid that the first thing I'm going to do is judge them, because I'm sure that there's a background. He's given a background of the men that he's going to meet, and certainly that would include what their the issue is that put them there in the first place. And he says, one of the first things I tell them is that I'm not there to judge. He said, there's two judges that are in your life. He says, the one person, the first judge was a judge that sentenced you for whatever occurrence happened that you're here. He said, and the other judge is Jesus Christ. He says, I'm not here to judge you. He says, those are the only two to take that you need to worry about.
Wow, that's
and I loved the way it was a very simple statement, but it said a lot. Because he said he does, I find I do myself. I will quickly make judgments, and that's just something I have to work on and am working on. And because I am far from being a perfect human being, as all of us are. And so I related very clearly to what he was saying. And he talked about the woman caught in adultery and the men who were going to stone her. And he says, many people wonder, as Jesus is kneeling down and making playing in the dirt, more or less, that what is he writing? Is he writing anything specific? And he says, some people think that he's writing the sins, because he said, you who has no sin, cast the first stone. And then he starts to write the sins of all the people, all of the men who have he said it's not a teeny tiny stone. He said, this is a rock. This is a rock that that they all are in place ready to throw. And he says, and is he really sitting there writing all of your sins down, so this person knows you as well as you know yourself, or maybe even better? And he says, and I thought, oh my gosh, I like what this man had to say. It was so simple and yet so profound. He said, not that that's what he is doing, but that is one of the scenarios that he could have been doing. So working what he's talking about of judging and that type of thing into the mission mentality is he's trying to get us to consider going to the sacrament of reconciliation. He's going to be available each night for that before the mission.
cool.
And he said, again, the judgment is not mine. He said, there is no judgment. He said, but if you want to take care of whatever war is inside of you, whatever walls have been built up by yourself, he says, this is something that's important for all of us to take care of. He said, before I went into the seminary, he said, one of the things that I had to do for myself, nobody else could do it for me, was to go inside myself, find out what things were still there of a negative fashion that were inhibiting me from being the best person, the best man of God that I could be. And he said, we all need to do that. He said, think about that. He says, come, if you're able, if you're inclined to the reconciliation, the sacrament of reconciliation. He said, we'll take down those walls, get those walls broken down for you, so you can be the best person of God you can be. And some good stuff there.
Wow, that's and I've got to give credit where credit is due, especially if you're doing a mission in Lent and you're going to be there on a Sunday hawking your mission. You really got to use the Sunday scriptures.
And he did.
Well,
he did so well. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to base your mission on
Nope.
The Sunday scriptures.
Nope.
But gee, try to tie it in, because if you don't, the people don't get anything on the Sunday scripture.
Exactly.
At all.
Exactly.
That's
and
hard, especially if you've got scrutinies.
Mm-hmm. We're doing the scrutinies, but we did it at another mass. I didn't attend that mass, so
Right.
I can't speak to that.
Right. But I think even that, I think this particular priest sounds like he would have tried to do that.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I appreciate that from sitting in the assembly.
Well, and I did too, because the lector finished reading, and then he got up and read the gospel, and I'm going, okay. And then he started his homily, and I'm going, he's spot on.
Yeah.
He's spot on, because I'm trying to read with like 3 or 4 ears to make sure I don't forget what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And he was spot on. I loved it.
That's
I loved
good.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're so good for either taking it down or listening, but I record things because I just can't.
I am in a position.
My ability.
Yeah, but I'm in a position that I'm seen. I'm right up front.
Mhm.
I'm seen by everybody.
Right.
And if I sat there and started taking notes, it would be seen by everybody. I can't do that.
Right.
So and I know each week when I come into this podcast, I know there's aspects that I might forget, but I'm giving you what I'm able to give you. And I think I know that's what I come away with. And
Right.
it helps me train my ear to be a little bit more, to do better.
Right. Right. I understand.
Right.
It's just me.
I know.
So what I have is about 9 minutes of the actual homily given by Father Jeff Cabral, who is the judicial vicar for the Diocese of Fall River, as well as in residence at St. Mary's in Mansfield, which was where I was subbing this week. I thought he has a very interesting take on the whole mercy thing as well. So, and this was the week for it. You could really get into
Absolutely.
with the woman caught in adultery. So here, and he has given us permission to use this. I always do that. I will never, ever play something that I've recorded without the permission of the homilist. So just know that, before anybody says, oh, does Father Jeff know you? Yeah, he does. And I have his blessing. So here's his take on this weekend.
12 years ago already, Mel Gibson released a film depicting the final hours, the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ, in a film called The Passion of the Christ. I recall seeing this film when I was assigned at my first assignment in Taunton and being tearfully moved by this highly realistic rendition of Jesus' passion. It definitely changed the way I prayed the sorrowful mysteries of the Rosary, as well as the Stations of the Cross. Particularly difficult scenes to watch were the scourging of our Lord at the pillar and when the crown of thorns was placed on his head. Another difficult scene to watch was the one depicting Jesus as he met his mother on the way to the cross. Amidst all the mockery and the beatings from the Roman soldiers and his falling down, Jesus meets his mother, looks at her all bloodied and beaten, and simply says, "See, I make all things new." All the suffering, all the blood, the hard road of the cross was for the purpose of ushering in something new. 300 years before the crucifixion of Jesus, the Jews were in exile. In a sense, they had been bloodied and beaten by their captors. God's people suffered the humiliation of living in a foreign land under a foreign rule. The promises of God seemed so distant. It looked as if God's enemies were victorious. Yet in the darkness, God sent to them a prophet, Isaiah. And through his prophet, God says, as we heard in our first reading, "See, I am doing something new." God is promising that he's going to break into creation in an unexpected way. He's going to break the bonds of captivity. He's going to usher in a new, unheard of era of freedom from the power of darkness and evil, a new way of walking in friendship with God, a whole new way, a new order of creation. That's what our Lord meant when he said, "I make all things new." He makes new human souls, human community, new marriage, a new man's relationship with God. So many of the gospel stories are brimming with that newness, and today's gospel is no exception. However, it looked like it was the end of the road for that woman caught in the act of adultery. She was certainly guilty of a capital crime, and yet Jesus does something new. He stops the momentum of this violent crowd and forces them to consider something new, to consider that they too are sinners. And so they walk away, dumbstruck. And then he invites the sinful woman to a new way of life, to a life without sin. This story always reminds me of what happens in the sacrament of reconciliation. In the sacrament, the penitent is asking Jesus to do something new in them. Lord, make that part of me that is caved in new. Take that selfish part of me, take that self-centered part of me, and wash me clean. And after absolving our sins, the priest dismisses the penitent, saying, your sins are forgiven, go in peace. Like Jesus in the gospel, he's saying, go and sin no more. Something new is possible through the sacrament of reconciliation. The slate is wiped clean. It's a new start, a fresh start, with God's promise that he will help me overcome the sinful tendencies that I've just confessed. Go and sin no more means a fresh start, but also means that the hard work is only beginning. It's going to be a challenge to not gossip the next time I have a chance. It's going to be a challenge to hold my tongue when I want to lash out in impatience. It's going to be a challenge to make sure that I set aside time each day for prayer. But each of these challenges are opportunities for God to do something new in us and to cooperate with him in this process. He's going to help us relate to family members with more patience. He's going to help us be better Christian witnesses at work and at school and in the public sphere. He's going to help us be more disciplined in the use of our earthly goods. He's going to bring new growth. But growth in holiness isn't just about being free from sin, but coming to new ways of generosity, new ways of self-giving, new ways of self-sacrifice. God will make you new if you let him. As I mentioned in a previous homily a few weeks ago, the word Lent comes from an old Anglo-Saxon word meaning springtime. In springtime, we see signs of new growth. What new growth have you seen in your own soul through your Lenten practices of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving? Spring is also a time for pruning, cutting away the less healthy branches so that new growth can occur. Has the season of Lent helped you identify those habits or attitudes that need to be cut back in order that new Christian generosity can sprout and flourish? If you can't identify where you need to be pruned, if you can't identify the areas where the Lord wants you to grow, there probably hasn't been enough time dedicated to prayer and reflection this Lent. But remember, it's not too late. During the season of Lent, our Lord is reaching out his hand to us to lift us out of our sin, to lift us up to a brand new start, as he did with that sinful woman. Instead of being crushed by stones, the woman's sins were crushed by the weight of Jesus' compassion and mercy. The Lord not only does something new, but he also gives her the opportunity to do something new. She's given the chance to live a new life, to sing a new song, to walk a new path. Through the many opportunities offered to us, through the sacrament of reconciliation, through the Eucharist, through prayer, sacrifice, penance, fasting, and almsgiving, we too are given a chance to be made new by Christ, to walk in new ways, especially in the springtime of new beginnings. It seems like mercy can make all things new.
I thought that was quite good. And I'm really glad that I ended up recording the first liturgy and not the second, because there was a very distressed young child in the
Oh
church.
dear.
Yes. And if you know anything about St. Mary's in Mansfield, it while it has doors downstairs, if you're up in the loft, it's open to the gathering space. So all during the second mass, this poor kid was just distressed. They could not do anything to make this kid happy. So finally they had to take the kid outside the church, because the screaming was horrible. I was praying for those parents so badly. And I will apologize to our video viewers, because I know that last 8.5 minutes was not exactly the most thrilling video in the world. to open the door to let my dog in, because she was whimpering on the and scratching on the outside of the office door. So I had to go get her before she did damage. Next time we do something like that, I'll try to have some sort of montage for you. Like I have time. But
Yeah, that's what I was laughing at.
I know, but I'll try. But I like to present real homilies in the wild, so to speak, so that you get to hear some of these presiders and homilists do their thing. And I thought it was very well crafted, used all the readings.
Absolutely. Very nicely done.
And Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ. So
there you go.
In as well.
Which is a visual. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I could have used that as a visual, and that really would have gotten, the sensors going.
Exactly. Yeah.
How could you do something like that? And but anyway, again, if you have a homily from this week, especially if you have a Cycle A homily, for those folk, because we did not. If you have one, please, mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. Okay, mondaymorningcatholic.net if you want to put it up on the website, Facebook if you want to put it there, call the voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. We'd love to hear it. And if you tend to do what I do and record them, and I was lucky because they have a small speaker on the organ, so that, because it's a cavernous place, that I was able to put it right behind the speaker. So that's why the audio
Perfect.
extremely
Was good. Was good. Very good.
Yeah. All right. Going on to our last thing.
The voice of the people cannot be
The voice of the people. And boy, did you get me this week. I mean, 2 points, 441 to 439. That's close. Okay. But the one that won out was what I entitled "The More You Know." It was gestures and postures during the Mass. Now, this is a difficult one to speak about, only because I'm a liturgist. I deal in this all the time. But I guess a lot of people didn't understand all the gestures and why do we do what we do. So I just figured it was something to put up there as more information, and boy, did it take off.
And I think that's exactly it. That those of us that work for the church might know most of what was said, maybe not all of it, but it was written so well, crafted so well. I think that it should be included piece by piece into bulletins.
Well, I think what this is, if you want my honest opinion, I think it's a slide. What they did was they took the pictures and posted them. I think it's a slideshow from the USCCB.
Mm-hmm. So you would need to get permission to reprint, and that would probably be very simple to do.
Yeah, but I think there's a need for it.
I do too.
Must be a need
Absolutely.
Because to me, this is not rocket science.
No, but not all of us are liturgists, as you said a minute ago, and I'm not saying I knew all of it. I didn't.
But it goes through everything from being silent
Absolutely.
to sign of the cross during the gospel reading, which is now back, by the way. It's been one of the two things that the one that was brought back was the through my fault, the striking the breast. That was brought back. But this one was finally given to the people because the people kept emulating it all the time. It really was something that only the proclaimer of the gospel was supposed to do.
Okay.
By right. Lord, beyond my mind, my lips and my heart as I proclaim the gospel. That's what they're saying quietly. But because they do it, everybody repeats it. So now with the Roman 3, the RM3, it became public posture. It became a public thing to do.
I don't know that I ever not did it. Having joined the church in 1980, yes, 1980,
Mhm.
that was something that I always did.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
It
it
was
wasn't in the old sacramentary.
As a convert, it was imitated gesture.
Exactly. So it's one of those things it's one of those traditions that come from the ground up rather than
Yeah.
top down.
Yeah.
It was.
And everybody was doing it. I'm going, oh, okay, I guess I better do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that it was put back, I wouldn't have known that. That I didn't know that it wasn't originally there.
I just know this stuff.
I know you do, and that's why I tell you. I always learn from you.
Yeah, I know. So thank you. So I thought it was a good thing to bring up. Now,
Yeah.
the one thing I will talk about for myself is the genuflecting. I have a bad right knee. So I cannot bring my right knee to the floor without tipping over.
Yeah.
So I actually have to use my left. I've used my left for years because of it.
Mhm.
And people have only a couple of people have called me out on it. Say, I have a bad right knee. There's no way I can do it.
Yep.
So I genuflect wrong. Okay. Just let you know.
And the piece for me that I always knew was important, but you just never get enough of,
Mhm.
is silence.
Yes.
It is as important as everything else, but
Mhm.
sometimes silence bothers people.
It does.
I mean, the first parish I ministered at, you didn't have silence after communion. We had to have a meditation song.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And to have silence, we get a little bit of silence now is good.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting too that some of these, you have to actually, the best thing to do is to go in to Facebook and hit the pictures so that you can see the explanations on the side, because not just the explanation on the picture itself, there's more to it. So if you just saw the explanations on the pictures, go back again, because on the side of it, it will say, like, I'm on the one that says bowing signifies reverence, respect, and gratitude. If you go to the actual picture and blow it up in Facebook, it says, in the creed, we bow at the words that commemorate the incarnation. We also bow as a sign of reverence before we receive communion. The priests and other ministers bow to the altar. So there's more explanation to all of these. If you didn't catch them, go back.
It came up good for me when I hit it. So
It did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's something that people need to be reminded of again, and we need to spread the word.
yeah, I think it was an excellently, whoever wrote it, sometimes, even the higher ups don't produce things that are clear. This was very clear, I thought.
And if it's from the USCCB, wow. Good for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
we have a friend now in the USCCB, so who's running communications. So
Oh, okay. I had to think for a second. Yep.
yeah, think about that.
I got it.
The one now, this got beat out. This edged 2 points ahead of the one that took off last week, and I said I wouldn't talk about it last week, but I'll talk about it this week. But we've talked about it a little bit before, which is how religious is your state. That was at 439. And yes, if you go to that Pew Research Center website, you can actually put your state in, and you can find your state, which for me would be Rhode Island. Okay, so I will put my state in there, and it will tell me that Rhode Island is tied for 35th, which isn't too bad considering the rest of New England.
Yes, and I'm Massachusetts, and we're tied for, wait for it, 50th.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
take tied for 35th any
There
day.
you go.
of the week. And it breaks down this way, that 48% say that religion is very important in their lives, which comes in 34th. 36% say they attend worship services at least weekly, which comes in 21st, believe it or not. So pretty good. 48% say they pray daily, which comes in 40th. And 60% say they believe in God with absolute certainty, which comes in 35th.
Yep.
So
and keep in mind that Rhode Island has the densest population of Catholic pardon me?
Catholics. It has the densest,
Catholic, correct. Catholics per population
right, in the country. And
in the
49%
country.
of adults in Rhode Island are highly religious.
And this is just straight religion versus Catholic. Yeah.
Right. Now, say you went to a state like Utah, for example. They tie for 11th as the most religious state. But if you know anything about Utah, most of the state of Utah is Latter-day Saints.
Correct.
Okay. So they are first. 53% say they attend worship services at least weekly. They are first.
Good for them.
Okay.
What can we learn?
Right. But I would not expect anything less from them either. When you go to when you come back to New England, however, and you've got Vermont, believe it or not, tied for 48th. I can't believe Vermont beat Massachusetts. That's odd.
I want to see, I would really like to know, and just out of curiosity, not any sort of judgment as we've been talking, just curiosity is, what amount of population did they survey? Does it say anywhere?
No, it doesn't. But if you if you break down the religious profile of Vermont, 32% say religion is important to them. They're 51st. Okay. 21% say they attend worship services at least weekly. They are 51st. What does Massachusetts say on that? Because you have that open.
I didn't. Hold on a sec. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Nancy's on an iPad, so now you get to see just
Sorry, folks.
Wow, picture.
That's the greatest picture of ever.
Whatever.
Attend worship services, 23rd percent, which is 48th.
Okay.
Say they pray daily, 37%, which is 48th.
Wow.
Say they believe in God with certainty, absolute certainty, 40%, which is 51st.
Wow.
Say religion is very important in their life, 33%, which is 49th. I'm not surprised that this landed at 50th. Everything is.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I'm not either. Because pray daily in Vermont is 33%, so they're 51st, and say they believe in God with absolute certainty, 41%,
which is 1 percentile above.
Right. So their biggest downfall is weekly, which I'm sure has our friend concerned.
Yes.
Because I know surveys are surveys and numbers, but this has to be distressing for us as Catholics, because when you have Mississippi, Alabama, and a lot of other southern states as highly religious, you have New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine as least.
Well, when you're down south, you've got a strong Southern Baptist group down there. What did you say?
I said,
we do. Oh, I'm sorry. It sounded like ooh on my end. Sorry.
No.
And that is, again, it's a religion question on this one versus a specific faith.
Right.
So the fact that down south, the Southern Baptists and all the other faiths down there are more faithful in attending church, that doesn't surprise me. When you
see it on the map, it's quite, because they have a blue map, and the light blue is all up in New England, and the dark blue is all, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina.
Well, there's also a question of whether or not, if you took away all the labels, could that be, this snows a lot in the winter weather map?
Could be. Could be, but we won't go there.
No. And I'm not being fresh about it. I'm saying there is an aspect of climate that if somebody says, are you going to Mass or are you going to go out on the road that is going to be slippery?
Right.
Oh, well,
true.
There's a safety issue on there as well.
True.
I'm not saying that it's an excuse. I'm saying that's a component.
Very true. But when you see Massachusetts dead last,
no excuses on that one.
In number of adults who are highly religious, that's
exactly.
And I know there's a big argument between religion and faith. Okay. But folks, let me be extremely honest as one who's done this for 35 years, who has been in this, I want to call it the business of dealing with religion and faith. If you don't have a community that sustains you in your religion, as your religion, the faith part gets very hard to do on your own. Christ did not make us islands in which to, function. We need to be with like-minded people to
Exactly.
learn how to love one another. You can't do it on your own. You can't say, well, I have my faith. Well, you gotta hang out with a bunch of other people who feel the same way. And when they do, usually they do form a church. So it's
Exactly. Yeah, it's
it's
true.
like religion happens whether you want it to or not.
There's absolute truth there, no doubt.
So, and Catholics, we're not the greatest in the world. We know it. But we're not half bad either. So that's about the best way I can say it.
I like that. That'll fly. That's okay.
Bad.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I think this is reaching its natural conclusion. So we've been all over the map. See, we can be all over the map as well.
Absolutely.
You and I, not just Linda and I. You and I can be all over the map as well. Might have something to do with me. But yeah, I think we're gonna bring this to a close. One thing that we are still not certain about, but I'm more and more we're more and more formulating, is what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks here on Monday Morning Catholic. It is really, I'm trying to be fair to our contributors here on panel because they're all over the place the next 2 weeks. I do not know whether there will be 2 podcasts, 1 podcast, or no podcast. So we're going to figure that out. Okay. We're just telling you up front, if we have anything, it could end up being next Monday, or it could be the Monday after Easter. If that's the case, then Nancy's not there, but because she works on Mondays, but we just don't know yet. We've done a couple of different things through the years, so I don't want to just repeat that every year. Okay. We did each one of the individual rituals last year. What did we do last year? Last year we sort of talked about our favorite Holy Weeks or something. Before
I think issues that have arisen in Holy Week celebrations.
Right. So this year, if I envision anything, it's an Easter Monday or an Easter Monday night round table. I can't do Easter Monday night. I just remembered I can't do Easter Monday night because I'm teaching confirmation. But an Easter Monday round table of how your Holy Week went, or maybe an Easter Tuesday morning. I might just say don't do Monday morning. So we'll get back to you. We will let you know by putting it on the website, by putting it on Facebook. We'll get it out there to let you know whether or not I'll record something and put it in the feed and just say when we're going to next have a podcast. I just feel I need to be incredibly in tune with the people who volunteer to do this every week. I just don't want to stress them out. And I think you all understand that too. And Nancy's going, yes, please. Thank you.
She's saying Monday night after Easter, and I'm going,
yeah, I know. But
we'll all be so exhausted by then.
I know, but you can't do Tuesday mornings, and I can't get anybody on Sunday night.
No, I understand. I'm not saying it's not a good thought. I'm just saying that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Of course. So that's why I want to talk with the group, and discuss it out. Discuss it out. And you should see our discussions on text messaging as we all try to discuss this.
I came out of Mass and there were 20 messages. There were 11 before that.
Yeah, that's what happens. So, but we will not leave you forsaken. We will have something. We're just not quite sure what it's going to be yet.
What does it look like? We don't know.
We have no clue. We're still working on it. Okay. So maybe your prayers this week should be for everyone's journey through Holy Week. That would be a good thing because we've listened all now through Lent in various different ways about mercy and how the Lord has mercy on us and we should show that mercy to others. So maybe now it's time to take all of what we've learned and apply it, and bring it to a real good conclusion sort of summit on Easter Vigil. So maybe that should be our prayer for all of us, to be able to walk this Holy Week that's coming up with each other, and to, to walk it with those of us, to walk it in sincerity. How's that?
Sounds good.
That work? Okay.
Yeah.
That works. Whatever works. But we want to thank you all, and we're going to be praying for you as we go through our Holy Week this year, because that's something I do. Whether the others want to or not, that's okay, but I usually do. That's the time I take to pray for all of our listeners and viewers, for their needs. So I'll be doing that for you all, and hopefully you'll be praying for us. So for Nancy Smith and myself, Joanne Mercier, we hope you have a good week. We'll let you know what's going to happen, and at some point we'll be back. Okay, so ciao for now.
Bye.